Many Nigerians are unsure what could happen if the president does not sign the amendment. The President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, finally signed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022 into law on the 25th of February 2022. In his address, President Muhammadu said in line with established tradition, he received input from relevant ministries, departments and agencies of government after careful and thorough review of the bill and its implication to democratic processes in Nigeria. He said it is rectifying to note that the current bill comes with a great deal of improvement from the previous Electoral Bill 2021. There are noticeable and praiseworthy provisions that could positively transform election in Nigeria through the introduction of new technological innovations. This innovation could guarantee the constitutional right of citizens to vote and to do so effectively. The bill will also improve and endanger clarity, effectiveness and transparency of the election process, as well as to reduce to the barest minimum incidents of acrimony arising from dissatisfied candidates and political parties. He added that these commendable efforts are in line with their policy to live prosperity and landmark legal framework that paves the way for credible and sound electoral process that will be worthy and also we will be proud of. Worthy of note include the democratic effectiveness of the bill with particular reference to Section 3, Section 9, Subsection 2, Section 34, Section 41, Section 47, Section 84, Subsection 9, Subsection 10, and Subsection 11, among others. However, he reserved some disagreement about one provision as contained in the proposed bill, which he said its provision constitutes fundamental defect as it is in conflict with existing constitutional provisions. Section 84, subsection 12, which constitutes a disenfranchisement of serving political office holders from voting or being voted for at the convention or congresses of any political party, for the purpose of nomination of candidate of any election in cases where it holds earlier than 30 days to the national election. The section provides as follows: no political appointee at any level shall be voted delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party for the purpose of the nomination of candidates for any election. The President, however, assented to the bill and requested the National Assembly to consider immediate amendments that will bring the bill in tune with constitutionality by way of deleting Section 84, subsection 12 accordingly. In a developing story during the plenary on the 8th of March, the Senate President Ahmed Lawan brought the order to the chamber, seeking the amendment of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act. After the Electoral Act Amendment Bill has scaled first reading on the 8th of March 2022, contrary to expectation that the Senate would succumb to the request by the President to further amend the Electoral Act 2022 by deleting Section 84, subsection 12, lawmakers on the 9th of March 2022 roundedly rejected the bill request, filing commendation from various quarters. Before a voice note on the bill, which nay had it, several lawmakers spoke against the further amendment of the Act and urged the Senate to abide by the court ruling, which stopped the National Assembly from tampering with the electoral law. The Federal High Court in Abuja on the 7th of March 2022 had banned President Muhammadu Buhari, the Attorney General of the Federation, and the Senate President from tampering with the Act. Now, in an inventory development, the federal government has hinted that it is considering three options as a way out of the refusal of the National Assembly to consider the request by the President, including representing the bill, approaching the court, or accepting the law as it is. Meanwhile, a federal high court in Umuahia, Abia State Capital, has declared invalid and unconstitutional Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. In its ruling, the court presided by Justice Inyadike held that the section is in violation of the 1999 Constitution as amended and should therefore be deleted. The judge held that the Constitution already stipulated the appointees of government seeking to contest election were to resign at least 30 days to the date of the election. She noted that any other law that mandated such appointees to resign or leave office at any time before it's unconstitutional is invalid, illegal, null, void to the extent of inconsistency to the clear provision of the Constitution, and further ordered that the IGF to delete the section of the body of the Electoral Act. We shall take a time out now, and when we come back, we shall be opening the phone lines while we discuss in detail the Electoral Act. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, it's still National Talk on QECWATelevision, and we've been looking at the topic, or possibly we would like to look at the Electoral Act today on the show. And our phone lines are open at this point in time, so you can actually call us and let us know what your views are. What did you feel the Electoral Act is? What is the implication of the Electoral Act? What is also the implication of the ruling that has been given by the court, looking at the fact that the court has already given the Attorney General the go-ahead to delete Section 84, subsection 12, which stated that no public officer is to, vie for the position of any electoral position whatsoever, except he stepped down from the position. And already a timeline has been given, which is 30 days to the election. And we know that for years, the president has repeatedly rejected the amendment of the electoral law. We know the first time it was presented to the president was in 2015, where he told INEC that it's quite close to the 2019 election, and therefore the Electoral Act will not be amended as it was, brought to table. But then, following several back and forth that has been given to the president finally got to sign the bill and also give some reservation concerning Section 84, subsection 12, that stated clearly, which I would like to read it here, and it says that the law stated on number 10, which is out of the 10 points that was brought to the president to sign, it stated here that Clause 84 stipulated that anyone holding a political office, be it a minister, a commissioner, or a special advisor and others, must tranquilize the position before they can be eligible to participate in the electoral process, either as a candidate or a delegate. And the president has his reservation concerning that clause of the Constitution, and he asked the National Assembly to therefore delete it. But there were some random or back and forth, and most of the senators in the House actually came out and said no, because the ruling came from the court that the Constitutional or the Electoral Act should not be tampered with, and therefore the Senate rejected the bill that came from the president, and therefore refused to delete that clause that stated that no officer that is holding a position as of present could actually vie for a position. But I would like to know, what did you feel about that clause, or what did you feel possibly it is? What are people's take concerning the Electoral Act? Because we know that the Electoral Act is the politics of the law and the law of the politics. Now, what does this mean to Nigerians at this point in time, looking at the fact that 2023 is just by the corner, and INEC has been given a timetable looking at the fact that the Electoral Act has already been signed. We know that before the signing of the Electoral Act, lots of even civil societies came out to protest so that the president will be able to sign that law, and so that the INEC will be able to go ahead to start drafting our timetable for election come February 2023. But I would like to know, what do you feel about the Electoral Act? Who would it favor at the end of the day? Is this going to be to the favor of the INEC or the government, or possibly the masses? Because we know that at the end of the day, which I always say, that if as a person or as people, if we feel that the politics does not affect us, then definitely the policy at the end of the day will affect us, because at one way or the other we have a part to play when it comes to the Electoral Act, whether it's just on the paper or it will be put to play. Because we know people have come out with some of their reservation that yes, it's one thing for the bill to be signed on the papers, but it's another thing for it to be implemented. We have cases during the 2019 election where even the card readers were not working. Lots of people were denied opportunity to vote as a result of the electoral or technological some issues that came in, and they were unable to register and vote. But I would like to know what your take is concerning the Electoral Act, because this is something that has lingered for so long, from 2010, which it started from President Goodluck Jonathan down to President Muhammadu Buhari, and what the Senate, some of the reservation they have, and the back and forth coming from the president when the bill was brought to his table. We remember he rejected it, stating the fact that it only stated that only direct and indirect, and he added that the direct he wants it to be in such a way that everyone will enjoy it, because we're running a democratic system of government in Nigeria, and therefore he urged the Senate to look into indirect and also the consensus to be added. And after back and forth coming from both houses, which is the legislative and also the Senate, they came together and they finally added the direct, the indirect, and even the consensus, because stating the fact that the direct is quite expensive to run in Nigeria at present, looking at the fact that we're having a red alert when it comes to economy, and therefore the consensus was added into the electoral bill. And so the back and forth, we know finally the president gets to give his consent on the 25th of February, and after that he gave why he doesn't want the 10th request, which is the removal of the subsection 84 section 84 subsection 12, that stated the fact that he does they should remove and give opportunity for whether if you're a sitting governor or if you're a sitting commissioner, you can still vie for the position, provided that you step down 30 days before the election. And we are having here the rule, the court, which is fine just today, actually gave their ruling and gave the go-ahead to Malemi to go ahead and delete that clause, and that the National Assembly can do nothing whatsoever. But I want to know, what did you feel about the separation of power when it comes to, because we know the judiciary have their role to play, we know the legislative have its role that it play, and also the executive has its role to play. But we need to know, what do you feel about separation of power? Did you feel that at this point in time there was an interference coming from another arm of the government, or did you feel that justice was actually done, looking at the fact that it was removed? Because some senators came out to say it would be fair on a common man who wants to also vie for the same position that possibly a public office holder wants to run for, because people feel that if you're still in position and you still want to vie for the position of maybe the governor or a president, you are going to use a public fund to run for that office, which is unfair to a common man who wants to run for that same position. And that's why reservation, and that was why the Senate kicked against that bill and saying they were not going to delete it. Well, I really need to know what you feel about this, because this is a very, very vulnerable and a very delicate matter when it comes to 2023 election. It is imperative that we actually look at how will it affect us at the long run, because it's not just about the Senate, It's not just about the legislative, but it also boils down to if Nigerians will benefit at the end of the day, if this electoral act will actually favor us, because we can't call it a bill anymore because it has been signed into law, and this is what will determine how election is being run in the country. This is how it will determine how our votes will count at the end of the day, looking at the fact that lots of things have been added to the bill which will favor the common man at the end of the day, because back was then where you would say that you cannot actually, send your vote or you won't be present, which actually right now they've added the electoral voting. So wherever you are, as far as you have your PVC, you can actually go ahead and pin your vote. And so it's very, very a very crucial moment at this point, looking at the fact that the electoral act has come to stay. But what do you feel at the end of the day? Okay, I have a caller. Hello, Haruna from Adamawa State. Good evening. Okay. Okay, go ahead with your contribution, Haruna, if you can hear me, please. Okay, I would really love if you call me back, Harina, because you happen to be my first caller. Please remember that our phone lines are open. We're also live on YouTube, so you can drop your comments there. You can also follow us there and be very active and also contribute your quota to this issue, because it's very, very important, just like I said, that we voice out, because we cannot sit as, will I say, as at the grassroots level and feel that the Electoral Act doesn't affect us in any way. I will bring it to you today that it affects you, just like I said, if you feel. Okay, hello, I have a call from Abuja. Good evening. If you can hear me, please go ahead with your contribution. Hello, can you hear me? Please go on with your contribution.
Have your own personal interest. So, yeah, I'm with you, Ma. I can hear you.
Okay, move away from your TV set, please, so I can hear you clearly. Thank you.
I feel they have their... Okay, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you going.
I feel they have their personal interest why they want some bills to be deleted, because they feel maybe to favor them. They are in power and they have the ability to do some decisions while they are there. So for me, I think they should still stand on their position and then say no to the decisions they are making, and then see how the common man can be favored in this matter. So at the end of the day, we don't start regretting the way we are today in Nigeria because of our past mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful caller. Please, when you call us, move away from your TV set so that we can actually get to communicate properly. So still looking at what the court actually ruled and giving the Attorney General the go-ahead to delete that section 84 subsection 12. I actually, people will come out with in their numbers and actually saying they feel the court. Okay, hello, I have a caller. Good evening.
Good evening. It's Haruna calling again from Adamawa.
Okay, go on, Haruna.
Okay. My own concern about the law is how possible is it that after the bill has been passed, the president has sent to it, and now again is that the law rule that another part of it should be deleted. How possible is that? If really the law is for the masses, then I think they should allow it to be. Since the Senate are the representative of the masses, then they should allow it to be. I don't know. But really, there's a concern here. There's a problem here, in the fact that the election is just around the corner. So we pray that there will be a good intervention. Thank you.
Thank you, Haruna, for that great contribution. These are concerns that people are actually raising with the fact that the president has actually signed that bill and it is already an act right now. But then we're looking at the fact that the court has already given a go-ahead for a part of that bill or that act to be deleted. Now, people would definitely raise concerns. Will it affect the 2023 election? Or how possible is it for, the bill, part of it to be, after it has already been signed into law? It's expected that presently INEC are already working with that act. But looking at the fact that number 10 has already been deleted, then definitely somehow people are already of the opinion that it will affect or it has a way of, tempering. But we're still looking at the implication of this because it's very important that I get to hear what you feel about that session that was deleted. Did you feel it was okay? And that was why I said we need to look at the separation of power. Why would the judiciary interfere with the legislative? Because we know they are the lawmakers, and whatever they have already laid down as laws should be what will run the electoral bill and also what will run, the country in the long run. But looking at the fact that the judiciary interfere and they actually gave the topper, or will I call it the upper ruling, and give the Attorney General the go-ahead to delete it, people would tend to feel that maybe something fishy somewhere is going on. But that is why we really need to, look at its implication at the end of the day, because electoral process is very important. We need to look at this electoral act. Has it given Nigerian electoral process a new look? Do we feel that finally we are being liberated? Do we feel that finally this electoral bill will favor the common man, will favor the grassroots level? Do we feel that finally people at the grassroots have a voice looking at the electoral act? Because there are lots of rules that were laid down, looking at who is qualified, who is not qualified, the place of people who are physically challenged, how they can contest, and all that, the age and what is expected to be. And, lots of people actually express joy. What is of concern to some people is the fact that when the Electoral Act was not signed into law, there were voices coming out. We had civil organizations protesting. But finally, this law has been signed, and it seems Nigerians are quiet. Nobody is saying anything about that. Okay, hello, Joseph from Taraba. Good evening. Please go on with your contribution.
Okay, my contribution is that I saw you are talking about 30 days in dropping in office before the election. Then these people, this arrangement you approve. Hello?
I can hear you. Please go on.
This is my contribution. I am not sure that if, like, the federal government, they will accept this thing as they would drop after the election for 30 days. This thing, everything will be okay. But federal government, they will never sign up on this thing.
All right, thank you for that, that wonderful contribution. And that is actually why we're actually, we've brought this to look at it, the fact that, do we feel that the delete or the movement to delete that section is to favor a few, minority of the population? Looking at some politicians feel that deleting that would favor them at the long run, or possibly it's just to, favor everybody at the end. And that's why I said we need to look at the fact that the removal of that section 84 subsection 12, what are the implications on the electoral process at the end of the day? What do we feel? Who does it favor? Does it favor the INEC, who are already working, and possibly the removal of that act or that clause can actually draw them a step backward, looking at the fact that they're already looking at bringing out timetables for the primaries, conventions coming from various parties, and making sure that everything is running smoothly? Or do we feel that it will favor the government, because presently, looking at the fact that people have come out in their numbers and also, added to their voices to say that it is unfair on them, looking at the fact that whatever needs to be on that electoral act should favor the masses? Or do we feel that the masses feel cheated at the end of the day? These are, will I say, concerns that have been raised by the masses, has been raised by some analysts that actually felt that, because when you take a look at the the electoral process going on presently, most of those who are already vying for positions are people who have been in leadership for quite a number of time. And so people feel that possibly it's for their own greedy, to satisfy their own greed. But we need to actually look at it beyond just that, the Electoral Act, what are we, how, or what use is it to us right now? That because some people feel that it's of little or no use, or the changes that were made is not really, we can actually feel its impact. And that's why I came out here to say it's one thing for this bill or for this act to be signed into law, but it's another thing for it to be practicalized. We've had issues where INEC would say they are unable to register certain voters because of their having some challenge coming from technology. The card reader is having issues here and there. Some printing is not picking, and people come out and say that after all, they feel with issues like this, it's just a way of frustrating the common man when he or she wants to vote. But we need to look at this electoral act critically at the end of the day, that how will it affect us as the common man at the grassroots level? What will you do? Because it's not for you to come out and say, after all, this is just the politics. But the policy that's been signed has its implication on us at the end of the day. So we really need to be careful on, will I say, we're going to actually render, or we're going to step on the electoral act with caution, knowing the fact that it's not just about a particular set of people, but it will affect each and every one of us at the end of the day. Lots of things are coming out. What does this mean to the electoral process? And only looking at it, possibly it might not even be amended again for quite a number of times. So how effective will these acts be at the end of the day? We need to, we need to actually sit down critically and look at it, that, people will come out and say it's just the Electoral Act and my vote actually won't count. But, if vote doesn't count, why do politicians buy the votes at the end of the day to show that your vote actually count? And that's why each time we come out, whether on the National Talk here or on dailies, we emphasize the fact that each and everyone needs to get he or her PVC, because the INEC has even stated that for those who have been affected by insecurity, they are trying to see how they can make a position or make a platform where they can reprint their PVC. A lot has been happening. A lot has really been happening. We'd like to take a time out now, and when we come back, we'll actually look at more on what needs to be done. Don't go anywhere, be right back. Welcome back from that timeout. And right now I'd like to go down to some of the 10 key provisions of the new Electoral Act. Number one, here say Clause 29 subsection 1 stipulate that parties must conduct primaries and submit their list of candidates at least 180 days before general elections. And number two said Clause 80 is Clause 65 state that INEC can review results declared under duress. Number three said Clause 3 subsection 3 stated that funds of general election must be released at least 1 year before the election. That is to say that already when the month of March, so definitely the money for election has already been released to INEC. And number four here stated, Clause 51 says that the total number of accredited voters must become a factor in determining overvoting at the election tribunal. We've had issues where the number of voters, registered voters, and the number of votes that were actually, on ground doesn't, marries, and, concerns has been raised. But looking at number 4, Clause 59, it says that the total number of accredited voters will become a factor in determining the overvoting at election tribunals. And number 5, Clause 54, subsection 2 makes provision for people with disabilities and special needs. And then we have number 6, Clause 47. It gives legislative backing for smart card readers and any other voting accreditation technology that the Independent National Electoral Commission deploys. Number 4 here say Clause 34. It gives political parties the power to conduct a primary election to replace a candidate who died during an election. Number 8, Clause 50 gives INEC, excuse me, gives number 8, which gives INEC the legal backing for electronic transmission of election results. We know that was at a point in time it was a point of debate, the back and forth, but finally we are actually having the backing. INEC have the legal backing for electronic transmission of election results. And number 9, Clause 94 allows for early commencement of campaign season. By this provision, the campaign season will now start 150 days to the election day and end 24 hours before the election. That means I think a timeline has been given for when people put, especially those who are buying for various elections to run their campaign. They have an ample time. Therefore, where a time is being put to an end, they know that it has come to an end at the end of the day, and so they cannot go about, campaigning for office. And the last clause, which actually was where it has been the back and forth here, we have to say that the Clause 84 stipulates that anyone holding a political office, be it a minister, a commissioner, a special advisor, and others must, vacate the position before they can be eligible to participate in the electronic or the electoral process, either as a candidate or as a delegate. And we know, looking at the fact that I actually took my time to read all this so that we could actually know what, the 10 the key points that are very key in the Electoral Act, because this is what was actually, needed. About, I think 119 pages was what was given to the president to actually sign. From what with building the foundation, we saw that he had to consult some ministries, he had to consult, people carefully to be sure that at the end of the day, after signing this act, it will not just be for a particular set of people, but it will favor everyone at the end of the day, because we have to look at how it will affect the common man, how it will affect the government, how it will affect INEC. Is everybody comfortable with this Electoral Act? And looking at some of the calls we've been receiving today, looking at the fact that people feel that how possible is it that the president have actually... Okay, hello, I have a call. Yes, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from, please?
I'm still come back again, Mr. Baba. Hello?
I can hear you. Please go on.
I'm Mr. Joseph Baba Taraba State International Local Government.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joseph. Go on with your contribution.
You know about there is one governor in Nasarawa State. They have said that even though people they didn't election him and his family, they will elect him, they must stop the election. Then why are you people wasting our time to elect you people, then to elect the elected people, then they will not give that person exactly. So what is worrying us in Nigeria now? They will go to vote you, then at end, it's not that person now that will carry that vote and give you the transfer because we are in power. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph, for that, very meaningful, contribution. But, I actually want to come out here and state clearly the fact that it's not enough for a particular, public officer to come out, especially when it comes to a politician, to tell you that even if nobody actually, vote for him, he and his family members are enough. But I want to encourage Nigerians not to give in to such, because this is just a ploy to actually chase Nigerians for coming out to the polling to actually cast their vote. But I'm coming out to tell you that do not get discouraged by such. You're not being deceived. I think this is just a way of making Nigerians to draw back, because if we take a look at the elections that have been conducted in Nigeria, there has been a low turnout of late, especially looking at 2019 when it comes to presidential election, because Nigerians feel that whether I vote or not, my vote doesn't count. But I need to tell you that your voice is important. Your vote is important. And also looking at the fact that we are having bad leadership as a result of good Nigerians who refuse to go out and vote at the end of the day. So whatever change you want to see, you need to go out and make sure that your vote is not just your right. Your vote is your power. You have the power to actually elect, people into office and also take them out of office. So do not get discouraged because, certain politicians come out to say that whether you vote or not, their family members will vote for them. No, we need to come out in our numbers. And it's important that we see that if you do not have your PVC, please locate the nearest INEC office to you. Go and register and get your PVC. And even if it's missing or as a result you misplace it or it's old, go out and have it reprinted. You will not be charged. This is free. Our vote is free, but it has power. So we shouldn't get discouraged as a result of what some people or politicians will tell us just to make us to draw back. Come out and vote. Come out in your numbers. Do not be deceived that your vote does not count. Your vote definitely counts. And, and that's why I'm encouraging someone today to know that do not get discouraged. Do not get discouraged. Just come out and make sure that you vote. Well, this is how far I can go on the program today, National Talk. It has actually been very, I'm truly grateful to our supporters and also to our callers who called us from Abuja, Taraba, to actually, add their voice to what actually is happening. We're just actually hoping and also, coming out. It's not just praying, it's one thing because talk is cheap. It's easy for us to talk and, go to the social media. But I always say it here that there's no polling units on social media. Your prayer requests will not be counted. It's your votes that will be counted. So do not relent. Come out in your numbers and vote. On behalf of all of us in ECWATelevision, we truly want to appreciate our supporters and also for all the people who called, and also to the ECWA executive for giving us a platform like this where we can actually air out our views and also hear the views of others. Until I come your way again next week Friday with yet another beautiful package, have a blessed weekend.